Okay, so I've been gone for a couple months, but I'm back home now, and I decided to go out on a little bit of a hike tonight and bring my camera and tell you 3 stories. The first one is a little bit boring, so you gotta hold on through it. The second one is something that I've probably only told 2 or 3 people ever, and the third hopefully ties it together and makes it all make sense. So the first story has to do with when I was a kid and I was growing up. From the time I was born until the end of middle school. If it's not obvious, I was homeschooled through that period. So I spent a lot of time with my family, and my mom during this time had 2 horses while we were growing up, and we didn't have enough room on our sort of property to have 2 horses on it, so she kept them at one of our neighbors' house who lived about a 15-minute walk away. So she had to feed them twice a day. Therefore, every now and then, I would go with her, and then every other now and then, you know, me and my sisters would go, and then sometimes the whole family would go, but we did it twice a day, every day. And that's the end of the first story. The second story takes place about my junior year of college. I was working the worst job I ever worked, which was a hotel bellhop. The Grand Budapest Hotel really sucked me in and made me think it was going to be a romantic, awesome job, and it was pretty whack, honestly. But regardless, I was super insecure about this job I was working, mostly just because I freaking hated it. And at the exact same time, I was also processing the loss of someone in my life that I cared about a lot. And I categorized this as the darkest point in my life, just that whole time span that I was working that job. But one specific night was the darkest night of my life. And I've mentioned in my sobriety video that I never had a drinking problem while I was still drinking, but I did have a couple nights that were incredibly bad and unhealthy. And one of those nights, the worst of those nights, was after a long shift. I got off at about 10:30. I could have taken the bus home. I wish I had, but I decided instead to go out to the bars. And the reason was because earlier that day, a guy had walked into the hotel who was my age, who was carrying a camera. And I knew exactly what camera it was, because at this point in my life, there was nothing I wanted more in the world than to make videos and tell stories and travel. And I got up the courage to ask this guy about his camera. I was like, that's so sweet, it's an A7S, like, what do you do in here? What are you making? He's like, I work for this mountain bike magazine, and I'm a video journalist, and I follow these pros around and make videos about them. And I should have been more mature in that moment, but instead of being inspired by the fact someone was making it work, I was torn to shreds about the fact that someone was my age living my dream, and I just felt like I missed the bus. Like, if this guy was already doing it, I'm so far behind that it's never gonna happen. And so fast forward, I go down to the bars later that night, and I just get absolutely hammered. I didn't know anyone there that night. I was just alone drinking. And I got so drunk that when I left, I passed out, and I hit my head on this brick wall, and I don't remember anything. I mean, I don't even remember that from the night, but what ended up happening is some friends just so happened to be out at a different bar and walked by me passed out on the road, and they picked me up and took me to one of our mutual friends' houses, and I woke up on his couch with blood everywhere. And there was this album that was coming out that day, and that my friend knew that I was really excited about that album, and I woke up to that album playing. And that's forever my favorite album ever, but I'll never tell which one it is. And that's the end of story 2. Story 3 starts 3 years ago, where through just sort of a happenstantial circumstance, I meet this guy named Jake Frew. I meet him 2 times, and the 3rd time I meet him, he says he has this lead on this video project and wants to know if I want to help. And I was like, yeah, of course I want to help. And for the last 3 years, me and one of my best friends have been traveling the world making mountain bike videos. And the crazy pinnacle, like the crescendo of this story is that recently, super recently, I looked back through some of the comments on the videos we've made this year, and one of them was from that same bike journalism company that the guy at the hotel worked for, and they had commented on one of our videos saying that it was one of their favorite series. And it was so crazy to have this moment where I can look back at the darkest point of my life, the darkest day of my life, and have the dream that I had that day come to fruition. Like, I did what I wanted to do. And so you would think that that would stand out as one of the most impactful, important moments of my life. And the crazy thing is, that moment, reading that comment, doesn't hold a candle to how much I cherish the days when I would walk to the horse pasture with my family. And like, nothing spectacular would happen on those days. We would just walk down there and feed the horses and walk back. But even so, like, I have so many fond memories of just being with my family. And it's such a simple thing, and it's crazy because every single day you're just walking through life, not really paying attention. And what you don't know is that you could look back on the day that you just lived while watching this video and have one of the memories that you just skipped on by today be one of the most important to you. And I suppose as I get older, I'm 26 now, so I'm officially in my late 20s, I want to remember this feeling, and I want to remember the fact that no matter what goals you set, no matter what aspirations you have, ultimately, whether you're able to make it happen or not, it's like, that's not what matters most. The little things. Man, I've been trying to figure out sort of like what my mission statement is on my YouTube channel, and maybe just my artwork in general, and I want it to be that. I want it to be the fact that these tiny, tiny little moments they mean everything. And the scariest thought is achieving everything you ever wanted to achieve and not knowing that, and looking back and like your life is this puzzle and it's made up of all of these pieces, but you can't tell them apart. Like, you don't remember putting the pieces in. You can just look at the picture at the end and be like, yeah, this is what I wanted it to look like. But there's so much beauty in the abstraction of each individual piece that you just can't skip over. You just can't. You can't let yourself miss out on it, because that's the most beautiful, most important, most vivid, most saturated part of your entire life. And it's so incredible that we have access to it every single day you wake up. You can walk around the corner after clicking off this video and have one of the most important memories that you'll ever have. That's so awesome. Life is so awesome. So I just want to close this by saying, I have nothing but gratitude right now. I don't want to set any goals this year other than to just wake up and feel gratitude for everything that I've been given. I don't want to think about what I haven't achieved yet, because it just doesn't matter to me at this point. I'm just so thankful to be on this planet, to be on the same planet as you. In this blip of time I've been given, like, I realize now I have had enough. I've had everything I ever needed and ever wanted. And yeah, it's awesome. That doesn't mean I'm not going to make more videos. Like not having goals doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing what I'm already doing. I'm going to keep doing this because I love it. But that's the only reason I'm going to keep doing it. So thanks for being here. It really honestly means a lot to me, like so much to me. Yeah.